Welcome to the Needed Report, and it's Constantine, as usual, your host. And this month is exciting me because it is very eventful. So much is happening. We have journalists being beaten, we have ships docking at Mombasa, we have people meeting the EU and telling them, you're stupid, you don't understand anything. And I have a lot to talk to. So today I bring you Fidel. He's my good friend. How are you, Fidel?
I'm all right.
Yeah, Fidel is a very good political commentator, political analyst. And today we are going to speak about majorly two things. About the journalists being beaten as Bobi Wine was taking his petitions and grievances to the UN offices of human rights. So we see the army comes out and is beating people when they are being recorded. The next day, the army general comes out, the commander, and says, you guys, we are sorry for beating you every time you try to cover an event. It has been happening for so long. So I want to take your brain about it. Does this make sense? Why they are beating people, always beating them? This has been happening with the Akenas, now this here with Bobi Wine. Why is this happening anyway?
Well, I think the beatings that, as we saw them on TV, where we look at beating happening, but we don't know whether they were responding to them following Chaguranyi or there are some other events that are happening in between and maybe frustrated the soldiers and decided to beat them.
Yes.
But then the good news at the end is that the military comes back and then apologizes to the people, and of course they take action to the soldiers who beat those news anchors and journalists and all those cameramen. So coming back and apologizing actually is good action, and taking further action to arrest their own. I think it was a good move to also build confidence in us and keep knowing that actually these people actually care about the citizens.
Now, actually, about that, some people and some journalists are actually complaining, and I'm like, these people always come and beat us. And after beating us, tomorrow they come and apologize. So it's like for them, they believe this is deja vu. For them, the journalists believe they beat us knowingly, then they apologize so that they can sugarcoat the beating. So it's becoming like this whole repeated action.
Well, the beating of journalists, it's not turning us or turning the entire government into a tyranny government. No, because I think the beatings develop from events that come up when you encounter the military men on their job. So when they are brought into civilian life, anything that frustrates them, they might take steps that are unique to citizens, and that's how beatings come up. But I don't think it is in a predefined interest that they come, knowing that this is the course of action when you see any journalist. No, I don't think that is the case.
I saw the guy was hit and he was bleeding here on the back of his head. And I'm like, was that reasonable force to encounter? Or these guys sometimes they enjoy, or maybe they want to fear them, to make them fear and make them intimidated. Like, does that seem fair? Like an on-seer?
Of course, in my view, it's not fair to beat journalists. Doing it is wrong.
Yes.
But then, on the other hand, is that there is no defined measure of beating that they should give journalists. So it is random, and the force is also random. And of course, these are not people trying to say, we have to arrest this one. No, theirs is to repair you from where you're going. So if that is the case, then we have to just make sure we avoid having harsh interactions with the military.
And actually, this is something that I want to ask you about. A warship that has docked at Mombasa, it is actually 784 feet long. It can house 250 people. And it is a warship named after a war hero who is who is still surviving in the World War II in the attack of Iwo Jima in Japan. And I think these people are under pressure. of maybe thinking we have to apologize because there's some ship somewhere which might bring problems. So I want to take your mind on this ship. What do you think when you hear that Emeri etuse e Mombasa? What do you take out of it? What do you know about it?
Well, that ship that has docked in Mombasa, as you explained, it's a Navy ship. But then its connection to our situation in Uganda now, it's because people have built it as an incremental process from an election, that people are disappearing and military is beating journalists. In the same course now, a military ship comes in close proximity with our country. Yes. And at the same time, the European Union is meeting Chagulanyi. After this, within the same time, the European Union is meeting Museveni and is giving them some harsh replies. Yes. So when people now combine all of those events in one bucket, they want to believe that actually these events are connected. But there is a disconnect somewhere because the ship is in Mombasa. It's in the Indian Ocean. And you have to know we are a landlocked country. So being landlocked, we have no big connection with the Mombasa port. So in terms of the ship being in Mombasa, it has a lot to do with the Kenya and Kenyan politics and the entire Africa, because the US ship has been around the African coast for quite a long time. And actually they have brought more, so many ships are coming in, covering different parts of Africa. So the ship and its being in Mombasa has really nothing to do with our country.
But if I can ask you on that, vast majority of Ugandan social media users, they're excited. For them, they are sure there's a looming invasion. For them, they are waiting. Some of them are not even eating anymore. It's like when you're waiting for Christmas when you're a young child. For them, they are sure America has come to invade Uganda and remove General Kaguta Museveni. Now, when I want us to talk more about invasion, because sometimes you find people are excited. First of all, should people be are people right to actually get excited about an invasion? Like how you have known about history of invasions. If you look at countries which have been invaded, we see most recently, our viewers most know Iraq, Afghanistan, they know Libya. Would we want an invasion in this country right now?
No, I don't think an invasion is necessary. However, it remains a possibility, because when you have now a military base, a foreign military base like the US base in Mombasa, and now you have instability in Uganda, it is easy now for them to invade. But that doesn't mean that now we have a situation that calls for their invasion. No. Our local matters here have not yet developed into that situation that calls for a foreign invasion.
On that, how far is too far for America to invade a country? Like, how far do the matters have to reach for America to say, let's enter Uganda and wipe it clean?
I can't have a clear measurement of how far, but if we have so many human rights violations that, of course, include too much bloodshed, beyond doubts, they might invade the country.
Now, this actually also scares me about invasions. History is there to record us. And me, I view America as this man who always likes to love women. But every time he marries or loves a woman, they end up in tears. They end up in problems. So the track record of the USA, when it's invading, the little countries, Libya, it's now in rebels. There's slave trade in Libya. Where under NATO, it went on in a coalition with NATO. Iraq in 2003, man, Iraq still, they don't have basic needs because of an invasion. Afghanistan is a mess. When you go into earlier history, the invasion of Cuba, the Battle of the Pigs, like they all ended up in tears. Now, for a Ugandan who's watching us out there, I need to put up a perspective. Like, do we gain anything from these invasions? Or Ugandans should say, let us mobilize ourselves without foreign interference and remove a dictator. How do you see that?
But of course, we have to differentiate the countries we are talking about. If we are talking about the predominantly Muslim countries like Iraq or Libya or all those that are in the Middle East, those countries, to say it genuine, those are powerful countries like Iraq or Libya. The involvement of US and the scale of involvement is completely different, because if they invade Uganda, they are not, we don't threaten their interests. No. The only thing that would bring them is to further their interest in our country. And it would be who is going to further their interests. And that is the person that would come to force us to believe he is our leader. But if we are not a direct threat to them, but rather they are just pursuing their interests, then the scale can't go that far. So for us, we remain a bit safe from a foreign invasion, because we are not competing directly with the United States.
Oh, actually, yes. Actually, thank you, Fidel. We are going to go for a short break. Guys, don't go away. I'll come back after this break. Keep tuned in. Subscribe to Needed Report. See you after the break.